So for the level, we decided to go through several different types of things. We wanted to have a very dilapidated dungeon type deal going on. So the floors are all very decrepit and whatnot, and the walls just have that like dungeon-esque feel to them. We also have a lot of lanterns and fountains that are gonna have like fire pits and stuff in them. For enemies, right now we have a placeholder for an imp. We're actually going to replace that with dogs. And then for another stronger enemy, we have an orc character that's going to be running around just smashing you. And they're going to spawn randomly throughout the level as well. Currently the level's untextured, but we're going to go for, of course, a dark theme. Lots of grays, blacks, browns. And then lights are going to vary between different colored flames from reds, blues, oranges, and probably greens. Yeah. For the level itself, we wanted to make it a very windy path, so you have to go around and kind of hunt your way through, kind of to encourage exploring, but not so much that you get lost. Just kind of want to make sure that people go through the level and are actually exploring stuff, trying to survive as well as find their way through the level. Here we have the assassin model. This is going to be one of the main characters you can play as in the game. Just a stealth character that has a lot of ranged abilities and close range abilities that allow for you to get in close and deal a lot of damage, or deal some damage from afar. But of course, those are abilities. Here we have the tank character. Tank character is going to be another playable character. Since the game is going to be 4-player co-op, this character is going to obviously be a tank. He's going to have heavy attacks, heavy swings, and he's going to wield a big, great axe. Here we have our support character. What she's going to be doing is healing, boosting buffs, debuffing the enemy, all sorts of that stuff. This way we don't just have standard attack characters, we've got other characters play as well. For the level itself, we wanted to make it a very windy path, so you have to go around and kind of hunt your way through, kind of to encourage exploring, but not so much that you get lost. Just kind of want to make sure that people go through the level and are actually exploring stuff, trying to survive as well as find their way through the level. Here we have the assassin model. This is going to be one of the main characters you can play as in the game. Just a stealth character that has a lot of ranged abilities and close range abilities that allow for you to get in close and deal a lot of damage, or deal some damage from afar. But of course, those are abilities. Here we have the tank character. Tank character is going to be another playable character. Since the game is going to be 4-player co-op, this character is going to obviously be a tank. He's going to have heavy attacks, heavy swings, and he's going to wield a big, great axe. Here we have our support character. What she's going to be doing is healing, boosting buffs, debuffing the enemy, all sorts of that stuff. This way we don't just have standard attack characters, we've got other characters play as well.
Welcome to the fourth section, where we're going to discuss mechanics, functionality, and controls. The way the game is played is point and click. So if I click somewhere, my character will move to wherever I click. The way attacking is done is clicking on an enemy, and you have auto attacks that will just automatically go. You don't have to press anything for that. Then you have special abilities like the bleed, which does the damage over time. And then you have a bow shot, which does a massive amount of damage. You can also hold down the mouse button to move around as well, so you don't have that awful clicking. There's a teleport, and we have an ultimate for every character, which does a massive amount of damage as well, but it needs to build up over time. The code for all of that looks a lot like this. So we have the assassin, which is based off of the player character. The player character is based off of the base character. So these two derive from this, and then all of the abilities derive from the ability class. Welcome to the in-editor version of 7th Circle. The plan is to make a modular game that is reminiscent of Diablo and your standard PC MOBAs like League of Legends, Here's the Storm, and whatnot. Some of the plans that we have are bringing out this level a bit more, making the hallways a bit wider. Putting in the rest of the spawn points is definitely part of the plan. And then replacing the floor with a solid piece that has this as a texture rather than having it be a tile. Right now there's only one character in the game, like implemented in the game. There are 4 planned, and 2 are in the beginning stages of being implemented. The goal is by the end of the next 6 weeks to have the floor done, a level kind of flushed out, more characters done, if not all of them done, and having enemy spawners more optimized and placed more thoroughly throughout the level. Pretty much it for the plan. Alright, so now we are moving on to the code portion of this presentation.
Mucho gracias.
We have a lot of scripts. Each one has a very specific purpose. We have all of our abstracts here. So every character in the game, every playable character, enemy character, comes from base character. Then they go into enemy and player character, and then from there, you have the individual characters like Assassin. Ability is also an abstract, so every ability derives from that class. We have some engine stuff because we're trying to do a more modular design where we can just pick and choose what scripts and stuff we want and move them into other projects. So everything in the game has an animation manager. At least anything that has an animation has an animation manager. And what that animation manager does, if I can do that. All right. What it does is essentially it covers all of the animations that anything would have. So like running, everything has a basic attack, abilities, death animations, the whole 9 yards. Everything has to do with that. It's all named the same in the mechanism. So what we can do is we can just basically take this and throw it onto anything that has an animation and call it a day. And it's a great time. Click to move is literally just inputs. That's how we play the game. You click where you want to go, your character moves there, you click what you want to attack, your character automatically attacks that. Interfaces is essentially just a script that is full of all of the interfaces we use. We have interfaces for all of the status effects that are going to be in the game, such as bleeding, which is already implemented, taunting, that type of stuff. Smooth Follow is just a camera script that came from Unity itself. It is the only Unity script that we have that comes from Unity. We've got scripts for the main menu. These are all UI scripts. So this script is basically if I need something to be billboarded, which means it's always facing the camera from a UI perspective, I just throw this on that and it automatically does it. The outline shader scripts, during the playthrough you might have noticed that enemies get an outline when you mouse over them. That's what this script does. That's the only thing this script does. health and enemy health scripts deals with the health that you saw moving around and whatnot in the playthrough. We have some static managers as well that dictate different states of the game, different states of the enemies, how to spawn enemies. We have different enemies. Right now we have a template enemy, and then we have our orc enemy, which is currently being implemented. It's not fully implemented into the game quite yet. All of this is mostly single player, but we do have multiplayer that is going to be implemented as well, and pretty much have implemented, and that's Josh's thing.
So most of the networking that we have done as of right now is done in the network manager script, and we're using Photon Unity networking, which is a very cool like plugin for Unity that allows you to connect to cloud-based servers. You don't have to set up any peer-to-peer or anything. It's all just kind of done for you, which is really nice on that end. So all we have to handle is we're setting up like synchronizing all of the animations and connecting players to all of the correct rooms. This is all stuff for spawning and setting up the rooms and getting it all so that people can connect to the same place. We only have one build right now, so we can't show it off very much, but we have some stuff in actually back here in the animation manager, where we have on Photon serialized view, which is where we're sending all of the data from us if it's our client, or we're receiving all of the stuff from the other clients, which allows us to essentially share the game world. It's all simulated through this update loop here, essentially. We have another thing down at the bottom, Pun RPC. It's a remote protocol connection, and it allows us to set animations over the network so that we're all synced up and good.